watching Leicester Till I Die TV.
Watch us on YouTube.
Listen on your favourite podcast platform.
Or ask your smart speaker
To play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good day, good night, depends where you are in the world. I hope you are well and enjoying being back here on LTID TV. And don't worry, I've already checked, I'm not muted. Third time was not a charm for being muted at the start. So you have been able to hear my wonderful voice. How are we all doing? It's been a wonderful 6 days for Leicester, hasn't it? After the international break came to an end, thank God for that. Leicester have scored 6 goals and only conceded 1. I mean, in the uproar of that, they've done this thing called kept a clean sheet. And of course, well, that's exactly what we're here to do, to continue that trend, hopefully, as we come into Saturday night's game. It is the Nigel Pearson derby, if you will, to add a little bit of spice to a fixture that really doesn't have too much in the way of grand gesture history behind it. But, of course, I'm never one to leave you alone. This isn't Anfield after all. We don't let you leave alone or watch this show alone, because the wise owl, the man of the hour, is here to join me. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together, get cheering in the comments, because my guest is back, the wise owl, Craig. Craig, how are you doing, sir? As soon as I had you in. There you go.
I'm doing very well, Brad.
I'm doing very well, Brad.
Good to see you and everyone else.
Yeah, it's good to see you too, mate. It's been a great week. Leicester are the away day kings, which is something a lot drastically better than last season, where we weren't even home or away kings, were we? I mean, 100% record. We might have lost a 100% record in the league when we lost to Hull, but we've got a 100% away record, Craig. It's going well for us, isn't it, at the moment?
It's not bad, is it? It's not bad, is it? I've been to a few away games down years where it's not been so great. So I mean, it's great for all the fans who are making the trip. Particularly that midweek trip to Norwich, which is not a good trip at the best of times. But to do that and for them to get a reward, that's brilliant.
Yeah, it is. And you know, you're looking at our fixtures. Obviously, we're going to be talking about, we are here for the preview show. We are going to be talking about the upcoming weekend game, the Nigel Pearson derby, as we're all referring to, about Bristol City. This is a game where Leicester had 2 tricky oppositions in terms of not just well-known oppositions of this league in Southampton and Norwich, but promotion rivals, away from home. This is a game that, had results not gone our way, that like they did on Friday and last night, could have put us in this is a must-win game in terms of wanting to get the momentum back. Thankfully, we have that momentum. I mean, how pivotal is that? Because obviously this will be the first home game since that defeat to Hull.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point, Brad. I mean, beforehand, a lot of fans would have probably taken 2 points from these games instead of 6. You know, 4 would have been realistic, but to get 2 wins against two rival promoting teams has been fantastic return. And as you say, now we're lucky. You know, it's a fairly quick turnaround. Hopefully, the momentum that has been built there, they can take into it. Those who started on the bench will probably be starting at the weekend. Probably, got half an hour in their legs to keep them fresh. So yeah, but it's important. We don't want to have those the wins and then follow it up with a disappointing result. But I mean, if anybody knows this team, then it's going to be Nigel. So I don't think he's going to be playing to our strengths. He's going to be looking after his own.
No, well, unless we've still got something in the long distance contract where he turns into Agent Pearson. Hopefully he doesn't try and get a good hand on some of our players if they take him out in the dugouts or anything like that, like he did in his Leicester days. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we're normally joined by a guest of an opposition view because it's nice to get opposition views on here. It's my fault. It's my fault. I messaged someone late. They haven't had a chance to respond to me. They might join us at some point. They just haven't read my message, and I didn't want to keep you guys waiting. But you talked about momentum, and we wait to the end of the show because for those who are new to this preview show, because you're used to Chris hosting it, we're going to go through the history of these two clubs. We're going to talk about previous results, how we think it's going to line up, and then Craig gives his predicted lineup at the end. Now you talk about momentum, and I'm not saying anything ahead of your team selection, but one man who may have scored last night and got his momentum back. I've waited all season to be able to do this on the show, so sorry, Craig. You just have to sit in and enjoy me pressing this video button. And I mean, the strikers have been scoring sparsely. It must have been nice to see him getting on that score sheet, though, even if it was through a penalty.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was the only touch that didn't come off his knee. But yeah, it was nice for him to hit the net and celebrate it, and hopefully we'll give him a little bit of confidence. You're right, the goals have been coming from other places, which is good in its own right. But you want your main strikers to be scoring.
Yeah, you certainly do. And going into this game, we won 4-1, and Bristol City in the midweek clearly thought anything you can do, we can do better, because they beat New Boys Plymouth by the same scoreline. They're in good form. I believe they're up and around in that playoff area, so it's not going to be maybe as easy as people expected. Because with the greatest respect to Bristol City, last season they survived relatively comfortably, but they were in that bottom half, and I think maybe if you were looking at the early door fixtures, maybe someone like Hull you were thinking might be an easy one. Look how well that turned out for us. But you'd have been pinpointing Bristol City as maybe a team that was the first game you'd look at and go, that's where we expect 3 points. Mm-hmm. Is that how it felt to you, at least before the season started?
To be honest, no, not really. Just because, and someone may be able to correct me, but it feels like it's the first time Pearson's been back. Since he left, I may be wrong on that.
What wasn't he manager of Hull when we were in the same division?
I don't.
That's my guess. But and John, Nate, who have said hi to us all in comments, and anyone else that's watching, if you can correct Craig, please do, because I'm sick of calling him a wise ass.
But yeah, I think him coming back, but obviously not just him, it's Andy King, Matty James as well. Yes. It's one of those funny games for me with Nigel Pearson in charge. I would never be overly confident going up against any Nigel Pearson team, because on their day, they're hard to beat.
Yeah. I mean, they're proving that already this season. Mm-hmm. Now, Craig, we obviously, because we don't have an opposition fan to talk about the games, you've mentioned obviously the Leicester links that are there. We've got 3 of them there, but I look back over their last few seasons, and we know what Nigel's capable of in the Championship. He did it for us. He did it for a bit with Hull, as I just mentioned there, and obviously we know what he can do when it gets to the higher leagues. He's a great escape artist. So, how surprised have you been by their start, given that they usually finish it looks like in and around that bottom half of the Championship?
I think from what I've noticed in recent years, obviously I've not looked at them particularly closely, only when they're involved in any of my losing bets. But they tend to start fairly well or solid. But I think what the problem they have is squad depth. So injuries can hurt them. So they can quite capable of going on a good run of good results. I think they've got White up front, who used to be at Villa, who is a bit streaky in terms of goal scoring. So they can go on a good run of games, good results, but then they'll get one or two injuries and they don't really have the strength in depth to be able to cope with it and then tail off.
Yeah. I mean, I know we're talking about Bristol City game here, but is that the biggest thing that's helping Leicester out this season? I know the cliche tax that comes with it, but we made 5 changes last night, and Norwich, I believe, only made 1. That's what the commentators on the telly were saying. They'd only made 1 change, whereas Leicester made 5. Is that a luxury that maybe helps us through these periods? Because obviously, a tiring statement, but the Championship does have blockades where Leicester and the whole entire Championship obviously will be playing midweek, weekend. It's not easy to manage, and you could see 6 or 7 changes, but Leicester maybe have that luxury that you look at their bench and you think, God, you could put that bench out and challenge for promotion itself in Leicester as well. Bristol City, with the greatest respect, if the likes of Norwich can only make 1 change or a couple of changes, then making too many changes against a very strong Leicester side at full force is just not ideal for them, is it?
No, I think definitely the strength in depth of our squad is going to stand us in good stead. As you say, he made 5 changes, and it was a strange looking team when you saw that the team sheet announced yesterday. But let's not forget, Maresca is learning. He's learning. Not only is he learning about being a manager in his own right, he's doing it in probably the hardest league in Europe. The most unforgiving league in Europe, because it is game week in, week out, 2 weeks. So he's probably of the opinion that he needs to change things. He needs to make sure all his squad are getting some game time, because when they are called upon, they've got to be ready. They've got to know how he wants to play. So he does have to give them some pitch time. But he does have that luxury of bringing the likes of Vardy, KDH, Wilfred Ndidi off the bench to change things if he needs to. And I think that's going to the teams with the best squads, or the team who's the luckiest with injuries, are the ones who are going to be at the top.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that proved dividends when we actually won the Premier League. Just want to say hi to Arthur, who says Leeds are the best team in England. Well, they're not even top of the Championship, but it's good to see you support your own team and backing your own team in there. So well done to you. And another question saying, what happened to Southampton? I mean, I may have made certain references about their manager. He's very rigorous. He wants to play tippy-tappy football, and he likes to pass it round the back and refuses to go forward very quickly. Now, I don't think I have the button loaded up here because Chris has organised these lovely files, but he does remind us of a certain Bell End manager that clapped a lot. I mean, 3 defeats in a row. This is the position that technically Leicester could have been in had the results not gone well against Norwich. So, I mean, title rival Southampton seem to be falling apart and crumbling, but we're holding strong, Craig. But go on.
Sorry. I think he is slightly deluded. I think anybody who saw the interview after the Southampton Leicester game would be thinking, well, I mean, you probably need a job in the government as a spin doctor. Because trying to put the positive on that, I know players or managers like to protect their players, but for me, he was trying to protect his own style because he's the one who dictates the way they play. But I'm surprised anybody's surprised by it because he did exactly the same at Swansea. By all accounts, great to watch. Scored quite a lot of goals, but just gave the ball away so much. And Swansea just faded away last year, didn't they?
They dropped off a cliff in the end.
Exactly. So he's in the deluded camp. He's probably on the flat next door to Brendan. In deluded house. Yeah, I mean, they'll come back. I'm sure they'll come back stronger. But the fact is, we've got 6-7 points already. So, it's a good start.
Yeah, it is. Like John says there, Enzo is learning very quickly on the job, and it's fantastic to see. And I know people say, "Oh, well, you don't get promoted in August and September." No, that's very true. You don't. But in this division, because there's a playoff section and there's an automatic section, and there's 6, you're fighting for a top 6 spot, and it is to try and get promoted to the Premier League. Early doors can be quite setting in this division, though, can't it, Craig? Because if you're suddenly getting into October and you're 8-9 points clear of 7th place, whilst there is obviously a long way to go, there'd still be just about 30 plus games to go, 37, 38 games are on by that point. You would start to say that's starting to hedge your bets on where teams are going to be in and around at that point, aren't they? You feel like it's a good omen then?
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun league because you will get teams, and there probably is 3, 4, 5 already started really well. Which you're doing Preston, obviously. But some of them will drop away, and that gives the opportunity for someone to come from nowhere.
Yeah.
Forest being the prime example. I think we're in the bottom 3 when they appointed their manager and put them into the playoffs. So it is a league where you can put a run together. But if you can get at the top like Burnley did, then you just build that mentality of we're here to be knocked off, so we know we need to be strong. And I loved Maresca's interview before the game yesterday. I don't know if you saw it. When the interviewer was asking him about making 5 changes, does he feel like that was the right thing to do? And he just throws his hands up and says, I don't know. I hope so.
Yeah.
It's that honesty of, I don't know. I'm learning as we go along. So I just hope it's the right thing to do.
It's refreshing to have a manager speak like that, and even more brilliant because he's from a Leicester. We're Leicester fans. It's our manager. But then sometimes it's like we've had it before. Well, we've listened to some of these questions. I know me and Chris used to review the press conferences, and sometimes you'd have them memes where it's just you feel like, what a stupid question to ask him. What's he supposed to say to that? And Maresca isn't being rude, but he's just saying, I don't know yet, do I? The game's not kicked off. I don't know if these 5 changes are going to work or not. I'm hoping to do because that's why I'm making them. But it's just transparency. And it's something that I feel has come very well with the club. I mean, Nate
you want a manager who is watching the same game all the fans are watching. And it's been a while since we've had that.
Yeah, it has been a while since I can't actually remember the probably Ranieri with his antics with the media was just as good at it. But yeah, I mean, Nate says there, obviously, again, voicing the same thing, saying it's not promotions. You don't get promoted this early, but it does help build the foundations. Back to Bristol City. Now, unfortunately, they are one of these few teams that I said there isn't many in this division, but they are one of the few teams that have never been in the Premier League. They've never graced the Premier League. They probably graced Division 1, but when it became a franchise football and not a sport anymore, and we became money bags sport, they've never graced the Premier League. But, Craig, we're going to take a trip down memory lane. As we usually do at this point in the show. Can you remember the last time Leicester and Bristol City met in this division? And it was this division, so you don't have to think too hard.
It would have been 10 years ago, maybe 11.
Yeah, you're pretty much spot on. 10, 11 years ago, it was our last meeting was the 12th of January 2013. Do you remember the scoreline if I tell you that now? If I tell you it was 2012-13 season?
No, I don't.
No, at least you didn't try and drag that out. Craig, well, it was an emphatic 4-0 win for Leicester City on that day, which was very nice, very nice to have. And it was also Leicester completing a league double that season, because in October the 6th of 2012, we won 2-0 at the King Power. So we won 2-0 at home and then went and thumped them away from home. So not only was it 10 years ago that we played them in this division, but the last time we was in this division, we also did a league double over them. So if confidence is going into previous, it's a good thing to go off, isn't it?
It is, and obviously, sadly we lost player a couple of weeks ago who graced both shirts as well. Someone who was playing for Leicester at the start of when I started following. So the late Garland, who was a striker for both Leicester and Bristol City. So that was and back in those days, they were a top club. I do remember in the old days when you used to have stickers and football cards instead of being online. So I'm sure there's a few who probably remember.
I'm sure there is. I'm far too young to remember such things, but I'm sure there is some around to say that. I mean, just quickly touch on this, because considering Celtic's B team are better than us, he must hate having to compliment us. But John just quickly mentioned there, Chris Sutton even spoke highly about Leicester. That made the victory even more the sweeter. But going on to previous results, it's a good job we got that double in the way, because the last time Bristol City actually beat us was the season before. It was at the very end of the 2011-2012 season, and it was on the 6th of March 2012, and we lost 3-2. Am I right in thinking that their stadium is or was called Ashton Gate?
Yeah, I think it's probably got some corporate thing now.
Yeah, it's probably.
I've been there once.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I've not been there yet. I was just thinking, was it there? No, I got my B's wrong. It was Barnsley's the away stadium I've been to, which actually isn't as bad as it looks. But yeah, I mean, 3-2 was away from home. I mean, this is the question, Craig. We will talk about this backstage. Leicester obviously ended Norwich's 100% home record, and by extension extended their own 100% away record. 100%. Is this almost a game now that, a little bit tongue-in-cheek asking this, I guess, but would we not prefer it to be away from home, considering our away record this season? I know it's only 7 games into the season, but is it one of them that you think, actually, maybe we should ask them if we could play at their place first, given our away record?
Yeah, we seem to be on a roll. But you know, I think it's important that they get back in front of their home fans. But important that they get a result. I mean, what it does when you are you're getting good results against these teams who you think are going to be higher up in the table. It does take a little bit of pressure off of these games where you think you are going to win. But what I hope that the rest is building into this squad is a lack of lethargicness, of thinking that they can just turn up and play. You know, I was quite surprised that he didn't make these subs at half time yesterday, because he's done that in the past with players aren't performing. And there were definitely 2 or 3 who weren't performing at all yesterday. I was surprised he didn't. I think he's quite a harsh. I think he's friendly and a manager who wants to get the best out of them. But I think he's the manager who's going to build in the mentality the same way that Vincent did in his Burnley team, and make sure that they don't get complacent.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I think we've seen. And again, he's not afraid. He's not afraid. And the way he comes across, it seems like he does it in the nicest way possible. Like you said, he's not afraid to tell players, look, that wasn't good enough. unless I see, so and so's in the wings. I told you, it's like the players understand the mission objective, if you will. I'm not just talking promotion. I'm talking there was a very transparent line between I have no favourites. If you play well, I'm going to pick you, right? But everybody's going to get an opportunity to not just impress me, but play, naturally because of how quick and thick and fast these games come. But also, if you don't play well and you drop your standards in training, I'm not going to pick you. You don't rest on your laurels under me. You train hard, you work hard, you play hard, and then you enjoy the benefits. Because I may have mentioned this a few times. Looks around suspiciously as if he doesn't mention it every time he gets opportunity to. But the training ground videos that you upload now, last season I told you not to bother. Just watch one; they're exactly the same. You won't, spot the difference. It's been hard to spot the difference between them. Trust me. But these videos are so different. You see all different sessions going on, and you see the players, especially when we were on a good run and we were winning every week. The training was intense, but it was also fun. You could see the bit of the fun element and how he was getting to do it, but it was intense. It was a long session, and that's something that I think he's, for someone who's trying to learn on the job and learn in this division, it's so great to see. I mean, just quickly before I ask you a lovely trivial, because I know you love quizzes. So of course I've got some trivial things to ask you about this fixture. Have you seen any of the training ground videos by any chance?
No, not really. I've seen little snippets. But what I'm hearing from the interviews that players are doing, it's quite insightful into what was going on in the previous manager as well. And players are coming out saying that they're learning virtually every day. They're seeing the game in a new way. Training is fun, it's enjoyable. So you do start to get a feeling of how it had gone stale under the previous manager.
Yeah, you definitely get that feeling, and it's so, the way he seems to do it though, Craig. And obviously, and I appreciate that you've only seen snippets of him, but what I've seen of him, it doesn't feel like something that can go stale. If you know what I mean, because he's forever changing it, and I don't know if that's game by game or it's just how he does it. I don't know if it's just something that they do each week, but that's something that mentally drives the team. And John's just put a comment here, and I'll pop it on the screen for everyone to see, that makes me feel a lot better with results that have gone on. We touched on Southampton that are in a bit of free fall at the moment, and their results have got their backs up against the wall. The fans are getting edgy. I mean, they were booing when they went 1-0 down to us. They were booing at full time. They were booing at the game at Ipswich. They were acting like they got tore apart again. I know it was only 1-0, but it was 3 defeats in a row. But John makes a good point. Has this really helped? Because you remember, and we don't like to talk about doom and gloom, but when we lost to Hull, there was a group, there was a minority of the fans, or maybe even a majority of fans, that were doom and glooming. One shot on target, it's rubbish. We need to do this. We need to do it. Have we seen over the coming weeks that maybe now fans have a bit, patience about them? Because John says it here. Hopefully, the home fans at the weekend will be more patient, knowing to trust Enzo in his process. Is that something that's an added bonus to the results we got at the week, over the last 6 days?
Yeah, I agree with you. You said there, John. There's quite a bit of negativity of the patient build-up that we've had. I think the thing is that we were doing the same thing in the Brendan. So it takes a little bit of time to realise that this is different. It may look the same, but it is different. And we saw that in the last couple of games, as you say. I mean, the goal, I think, was McAteer's goal, was something like 30 passes. Yeah. So it can be frustrating. I think the frustration thing comes with not necessarily the slow build-up, but some of the seemingly split-sided passes that we play during that build-up period, because there's a lot of hard moments. And I thought the keeper was fantastic yesterday, apart from that one stray pass that he put. He's been a fresh air because he exudes that calmness. And I think that's sort of filters through. And they clearly have got the patterns that they've been working on the training ground. What I would be doing if I was the position manager, I would be looking at those games and seeing those patterns. Excuse me. And trying to combat them in terms of, you know, when we've been playing the ball around, and people will pass out, someone will drop deep and then they'll try and play out to the fullback. Now, if I'm a manager, I'm looking to put pressure on the fullbacks and take that option away. So I think it's only a matter of time before opposition managers try and work that out. And then we do have to have the option to go a little bit longer. So going back to the question, yeah, I agree. I hope that the fans are patient. Fans weren't patient in the past season, so I'm not sure whether there will be. Hopefully, with those two results, they can see that with that patient style, if the fans are also patient, the result and the chances will come.
Yeah, well, that's hoping that Leicester can make this 3 wins in a row at the weekend. Now, because we've gone through our previous meeting, I can't ask you the question when did Leicester last do a double over Bristol City, because you may already know that. You may just already know that. I've got a sneaky suspicion you might get that one. But I'm going to ask you one here, and I will give you a clue if you're going to help you guess. When do you think, and this can go to anyone in the comments if you want to just play along here, because I'm going to give Craig a minute to think about it, because I'm going to do a shameless plug, as I always do. You thought I wouldn't, but I'm going to do a shameless plug. When do you think Bristol City managed a league double over us? The clue, Craig, to give you to thinking time whilst I skillfully use this to find my shameless plug, is Leicester weren't called Leicester City when they did this. Leicester were not known as Leicester City. So while you're pondering and thinking about it, if you are enjoying the show, I hope you are subscribing to the channel and hitting the like button and sharing this all around. And if you have lent us your ears because our faces are too gorgeous for you to look at, or maybe you just think we're hideous and you just rather listen to us than see us, here is the help we get from this channel from TalkSport and where you can listen to us.
The TalkSport Fan Network is the ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts,
including Leicester Till I Die, independent analysis and reaction for the Foxes faithful.
The TalkSport Fan Network.
Unbeatable club-dedicated content created.
The Premier League? That's so last season. It's all about the Championship here on LTID TV.
Now that's what I call football.
You hit the right spot.
There you go. Thank you very much to TalkSport Fan Network. It's always appreciated. You can obviously find us on all social media platforms. From Facebook all the way through to X, Twitter, etc., and all your favourite podcast platforms. Just make sure if you want to, you ask your smart speaker like Alexa to say, play the Leicester Till I Die podcast. Craig, I gave you a clue, so we're not expecting any 2000s or 1990s guess here, but when do you think the last time Bristol City were able to do a double over Leicester?
I'm going to go for 1912.
You're going to go for 1912. John has said no idea, early 1900s. I mean, you can't go too far wrong. The club was established in 1884, so I will tell you, you found the right party, and it is definitely in the 1900s. So you've got that way, but I mean, 1912. Can I find it here? Because I've not had a chance to organise it. Has he uploaded it? No, he hasn't. I was going to play that. I don't believe it. But under this banner, I need to get that added to it. You're very close. You are very close. If you got points on this show, I give you some. But you don't. It was the 1914. That's the 1914, not the 2014. The 1914-15 season. And on a horrible day in September, the 26th, so roughly this time the weekend, a few days sparing apart, the 26th of September, we lost 1-0 away at Bristol City. And then we got absolutely humbled on the 25th of March of 1915 by 3-1 at, I want to say at that point, Craig, this is where I get to show my knowledge here, and you get to either that or call me a Wally. Leicester would have still been playing at Victoria Park back in the 1914-15, or potentially. Is that correct, or would they have just scraped into Filbert Street by that point?
The straight answer to that is I'm not sure.
Well, at least I showed my knowledge of Leicester grounds.
I'm not as old as I'm not.
I know, right? I should have asked Chris. He would have known. He was probably there. He probably built it. But yes, it has been Leicester Foss we were known as back then. We were not yet Leicester City. So they've never done the double over Leicester City. But case in point, for the same club, they have done the double over as when we were little old Leicester Foss. Filbert Street, Victoria Park, one of the two grounds. It definitely was. So that's... oh no, I forgot the usual quiz. It's because we don't have a guest on. Because our guest, unfortunately, has not been able to make it tonight. We haven't got the biggest of history against the likes of these. We've had a few of these already this season, Craig. So before we get on to Craig's 11, that's what it's called because I'm so sharp and witty with my name calling Craig. Craig, how many times do you think the two clubs have met? And remember, this is in all competitions.
I'm going to go 56.
He's gone 56. He has gone 56. And you know this, it's like Bruce's Price is Right. You can be one game under, but you can't be one over. And it's safe to say you are not over. You're actually not too far off. There is a comment here, so I'm just going to go back to the comments and see. Nate, I will tell you this much, Nate. One of your numbers is right. So that means both of them are right, but not one of them in terms of order, unfortunately. You are over, Nate. So unfortunately, the game for you is over, Nate. But 7 is right. It is 67, however. We have played each other 67 times. And I will be honest with you, I looked through the history, and a lot of them were cups. And surprisingly, fair play to them, they've knocked us out of the cup a few times at Bristol City. In fact, they knocked us out 2 consecutive FA Cups in back-to-back seasons, as I was checking through the history. However, Leicester do have the upper hand for once in these records. Leicester City have won 28 times, drawing 19 times against Bristol City, and 20 wins. So the records, not that they always mean much, but they are in our favour. So again, you're talking trying to dig at positives. It's a good record to be having, isn't it, out of 67 games?
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. I hope we can add another one.
Let's hope so. I'd love to make that up to 29 on the win column. Now, some say that Enzo's a genius. Others say he copies someone's homework. All we know is Craig should clearly be an assistant manager because, as we always do. Now, I've unfortunately had technical issues, as I've had for about a week. So, unfortunately, we haven't got a lovely graph. We haven't got Claude Makelele pretending to be Cassidy in our midfield on our lovely display picture. I'm hoping to get my laptop sorted. But if you feast your eyes just about there, I would say, you should see Craig's predicted 11. Well, this is not his predicted 11. This is the 11 that Craig would pick if he was Enzo in disguise. Now, I assume you went 4-3-3 as your formation. Tell me I'm wrong. But
that's right.
See, I'm not just a pretty face. I wish I was that to start off with, but I'm not just that as well. I can figure out tactics. Now, not really much surprise, but if you look at the midweek team compared to the one you've gone for, is that your thinking in this, or is this just Brad? This is basically me. I think this is Leicester's strongest starting 11.
Yeah, a little bit of both. I think I've been harsh on one player, and I've given another one a benefit of the doubt. If you look at it, I think he'll bring Ricardo back to JJ, although JJ was pretty solid to be fair. I can't see Hamza starting this one. I was very disappointed with Cassidy. I must admit. I've been sort of pushing for him to start in my team selections the last couple of weeks, and he was just not at the races at all. It was off the pace, getting caught on the ball, decision making. I think it will have done him a lot of good, to be honest, because he now knows the standards, and he's got to work to get a place in the team based on that performance. I was very disappointed with Mavididi. He's a dangerous player, isn't he? But I don't know. He's another of these wingers who sometimes has an attitude, and he'll turn up one day and not turn up another one. And I think body language is a big thing with him. You can see when he's on it and when he's not. And I didn't think he was on it. He was still dangerous in flashes. But I kept him in and given him the benefit of the doubt there. You'll notice the player who's bad. You'll notice who's looking. I'm surprised you didn't turn me off there.
Well, I thought about it, but I just want to say, in case any of you are wondering, who is Craig on about? Who is missing from this squad? That is an awesome lineup. It is, but it is missing this man. Is it John Travolta who does that?
There's a phrase.
Scores in midweek and you don't pick him. Craig out.
To be honest, there is a phrase that's bandied around, and never was it more pertinent than last night. His second touch is a tackle. To be honest, I thought it was an awful game. From Ian Ashall last night. Fair play to him. He clearly wasn't playing well, but he did step up. Still had the confidence and slotted the penalty away. So fair play to him. But you've got to be holding the ball than he was. So was coming back off him and allowing them to come back to him. Eventually he got a grab and he got Duffy booked. There wasn't enough of it. I was really disappointed. Hanging on the ball for too long. He wasn't alone in that. I thought there was a few players who did that, who had opportunity to move the ball and then move on for a return. But I think in this scenario, in this team now, standards have been set, and for me, if you drop below them, then you run the risk of losing your place. So for me, I'm putting Vardy back in. Vardy has looked pretty sharp in a couple of games. He looks like he's got a bit of his mojo back. And it may be that Vardy can start and then Ian Ashall can come on for 20, 30 minutes. Pressure off and have a cameo that sort of gets his mojo back. I thought he was poor last night. I put Vardy in.
Well, I'm not going to hold it against you, mainly because I'm technically dealing on a phone, and it's more arse-ache to remove it from the screen than it is to and put you back in than it is to not do it. So you're very lucky that I don't have a click of a mouse to do it, and I'd have to reach over and do it. Otherwise, I might find you on the naughty step. But no, honestly, it's a good side, and if I take my love affair with Ian Ashall off the table, as difficult as it might be for me to do, I can appreciate why Vardy goes into that team. And again, it's a couple of days. He wants to get the best out of these players. He wants to use them as often as he can. So he's gone back to a strong lineup. To Ronald McDonald, we're both operating. Craig looks like he's in the Bahamas outside, and I'm on my phone. So apologies for echo. I'm not hearing it my end, and if I don't hear it my end, I can't react to any echo. So I do apologise if anyone has been dealing with echo. I mean, John says here, and he obviously raising an eyebrow because he thought, like you did, that Hamza was excellent. I mean, again, you know, a lot's been said about a certain Wilfred Ndidi, who is this Ndidi? You know, he's a born-again player. He's playing as an attacking midfielder. I have to admit, when I saw Hamza Chowdhury in the lineup, I went, wait, is he playing a back three? And that's what some people thought, because Chowdhury's not a defender, or not naturally one. And we always used to raise an eyebrow when he'd chuck someone like a Marty there, an old bellend, you know, would put a random player in a random position that he doesn't play in. But Hamza had a fantastic game and led from the front, being the captain as well.
But to be fair, John, I didn't criticise Hamza at all. I thought he had a good game. I just think he'll put Ricardo back in. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you could argue that had it not been Friday, Wednesday, Saturday, Ricardo may not have lost his spot. This might be him trying to nurture him. And we've got to remember as well, Ricardo's been a bit of a sick note, hasn't he? When he's been great, it almost felt like under Brendan, certain players, Ricardo being one of them, were played until they were unable to play. And I don't just mean they got injured and they weren't playing. You got that feeling with Brendan that they could get a niggle, and he wouldn't listen to the player, he'd listen to his staff, and his staff might say, well, he's 60%, we could give him an injection and he could do 70 minutes, but you will need to bring him off. And that's what Brendan was, go and play football until your leg's hanging off, sort of thing. You feel with Brent, you feel like Enzo's looked at it, especially if you look at the what came with Tom Callan signing. Obviously signing someone who's injured might raise an eyebrow, but he's taken on board what he's a long-term signing, and they're going to manage that. So is that a thing that maybe why Hamza and that are going to be playing in these positions?
Yeah, I think he's trying to protect players, but he's also trying to test out. It's still early in the season. So he needs to be testing players and seeing who can slot in where. Because the worst thing is that if Ricardo picks up an injury, for instance, and then you're putting someone in who's untested and untried, what he's doing now is finding out that he's got options. So he can rest people with a little bit of confidence, knowing that someone like Hamza can step in. And Hamza's recovery runs were great. There was a couple of times he was tearing back into the box. I'm thinking, please no. But overall, I thought he had it.
Yeah, he did, and again, before it happened against Southampton, that's what JJ was told, wasn't it? He would get the opportunity, and it was weird because I think it baffled pretty much everybody. We saw the lineup, Ricardo and JJ, and we all assumed JJ left, Ricardo right, but it wasn't, was it? So we are seeing that he's seeing things on the training ground and going, you know what, you've got potential in, playing here as well as here, and it's in keeping with the modern day, isn't it, that these players are a bit more versatile.
Yeah, I mean, he played Houston, in a midfield role. He's been bought as a winger. But also, the strange thing when he bought Ndidi and KDH on, he played KDH on the right and Will on the left. And I'm thinking, surely that's going to change. So I know clearly he wants his players to be mobile and adaptable. We're seeing it so far.
Yeah, well, like John says here, he may be hoping that Cassidy needs to move the ball on a bit quicker.
I agree.
I think he needs to maybe get his head up a little bit. But yeah, I mean, just before we go, just going to say he says hi to me and yourself, Craig. Ray, don't worry that you're late. You can watch us till the end, and then you can go back and watch the start, because there's lots of interesting things, and there's the spoiler alerts in there, so you need to go back to the start. That gets the views on people, don't realise. Sorry, it's live, I'll cut that bit out. And John's in agreement with us here at the end. He just says, got to be careful with Ricky P, which is the case. Great. So we've discussed Bristol City. We've kind of done a little bit of because it's been the first weekend, midweek games that have come up. We've done a little bit of an adverse preview to what we'd see. In case anyone will, I'm going to ask you, I know you are part of the predictions league, and I know you don't, I'm not saying you have to go with that one. Just be a bit different if you want. You can if you want, as you put in your predictions. I haven't written them down yet anyway. But just what you're thinking of your score prediction, trying to be different maybe. Just in case if you can't read the writing down there, I appreciate it's not on a big screen and it might not be clear enough you say it. Craig's predicted 11 is a 4-3-3 formation. He's got a Madsen in goal, Ricardo, I assume, on the right, Faze, Vestergaard in the middle, Doyle on the left. He's got a midfield three of Wilfred and Ndidi, Harry Winks and KDH, and the forwards, right side he's got McAteer, left side is Mavididi, and it's not Iheanacho. I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed, but he has gone Jamie Vardy there. Just in case those of you that can't see it on the right, and I appreciate I can't see it. If I have to take these off, I'll be blind as a bat, which might help. But Craig, last thing before I let you go and when we bring this preview show to an end, score predictions. Obviously, I'm not saying you're doing well. I'm not saying you're doing bad either in the predictions league. So are you sticking to your prediction you've made in the group, or are you going to give me something?
I think it's safe to say that I'm doing better than I did last season.
Well, that's very true, and I think it might be safe to say I'm doing worse. I'm definitely at one end of the table, but I'm not at the end I wish to profess to be. But we don't talk about that. But yeah, go on, Craig.
I can't remember what I put, to be honest. Whether I put 2-1 or 3-1, but I'm going to go 3-1.
It's going for a big 3-1 win to Leicester. I can't remember what I did with mine. I think I was very harsh towards Bristol City. And this is the great thing with doing it on the Predictions League show. Obviously, hindsight's a wonderful thing. I did mine. We obviously did our midweek ones and predicting this week in that. And then Bristol City went and smashed Plymouth. So I don't know. We're at home. Nigel Pearson. I can see an Andy King goal. It's Andy King at the back stick, isn't it? He's bound to get a goal for Leicester as much for Bristol City. I wish it was still for Leicester. Maybe Agent King will score at the wrong end, and Agent King. We can only hope. But I'm gonna go. I say this a lot, and normally I say it to people, but I'm going to copy your homework, Craig. I'm going to copy your homework, and I'm going to go 3-1 Leicester. I think the 2-1 to the Leicester boys is going to start dying out. We're going to start winning a bit more comfortably, but I do see Bristol and Nigel Pearson's men giving us a run for money. I mean, this just quickly before I let you go. Sorry, Craig. I know you're ready to go because I'm going to end the show, but Ronald McDonald makes a very lovely point. I know we touched on it earlier, but he says, let's give Matty James, Nigel Pearson and Andy King. I'll put that in brackets for you, Ronald, because it's okay. But a nice warm welcome on Saturday for the game. Yeah, it'd be nice, wouldn't it? Obviously, we want the 3 points, but it'd be nice to see him. Do you think, surely there'll be a lovely round of applause for him?
I think he's going to get a really good reception.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. Yeah, Craig, thank you very much as always for being here. It's a shame, unfortunately, it falls on me that we weren't able to get a Bristol representative, although it was Anthony, folks. So he supports anyone that wears red. So would he really have known anything? I'm only joking. That's on me, not Anthony. I let Anthony down, not the way around. But Craig, thank you very much for joining us for this preview show. Don't get a chance to catch our break, do we? Because these fixtures running around. But we will be back next week for the Blackburn Rovers game, won't we? Because the midweek game is the cup game, so we won't be doing a preview for that. So you've got a week without me again, Craig. Are you happy about that, or are you saddened by that news? Say something.
I'll do my usual signing.
Oh, I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. Mate, thank you very much for coming on and doing this as always. It's a pleasure to get your wise words and opinions. You speak the most sense, which isn't too hard to set. We don't set the bar that hard here, but thank you very much for coming on, Craig. And, let's hope Leicester can bring them 3 points at the weekend.
Let's hope we both get the prediction like this week.
Yeah, I will take it because I stupidly went for a draw against Southampton, so I shot myself in the foot, didn't I? But yeah, thank you to everybody who's joined us in the comments as well. Please just make sure on your way out, we like to keep it nice and tidy here. Just make sure you switch the old subscribe button, hit the thumbs up on the way out, and until the weekend's action, have yourself a good evening, and as always, come on, you foxes.
Cheers all.
Play.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network.
TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.